So you have a 1986 to 1992 Jeep Comanche and you're not happy with the rear bumper selection that is available for the truck, which is basically nothing. Your truck probably came with something like this. Mine's a Weston aftermarket step bumper. I don't like it at all, so I want to upgrade it to something a little bit better looking, but I don't want to go full-on DIY off-road bumper. Then I saw this. This is the rear bumper off of a Gladiator, a JT. Specifically a Rubicon in this case. So I'm going to put this bumper in place of that bumper in this video. So at this point, the only thing I've done is unbolted the Comanche bumper from the bumper mounts. Again, it's an aftermarket bumper, I think a Weston, and these are aftermarket bumper mounts. But so if you're working on a Comanche and it has a factory rear bumper, it should look similar, but maybe a little bit different. So right now I'm going to unbolt the bumper mounts from the frame so I can fit the Gladiator bumper up to the body and see what we're working with. So here's the first look at the bumper sitting somewhat where it needs to sit side to side. Obviously it has to come up about 6 or 7 inches, but width-wise, it seems like it's gonna be perfect. I've seen other people do this, and so I know that it does work. Now, what I have to do next is, as you can see, this is kind of 90 degrees right here. Obviously it's rounded, but the fenders, the rear fenders, the bed sides on the Gladiator are obviously a little more rounded. So this is going to have to be cut a bit. I've seen some people just basically kind of square this off. The one post that I saw on Comanche Club, that's basically what the guy had to do in order to make it fit. So let's see what we can do. I don't know if you could tell from the video, but man, getting these bumper pads off was kind of a pain. There's like 8 or 10 clips on the back of them, and of course you got to press them all in at the same time in order to get the thing loose. But I finally got them off. It took about 20-25 minutes per side, but managed to get them all off. And so I'm marking out this area here. I think that's approximately what I'm going to have to trim off in order for the bumper to fit the bed sides over here. So I'm going to try it on one side, see if I'm remotely close. If I am, I will then basically just do the same thing on the other side. So let's see if it works. All right, the driver's side is cut out. That's exactly what I was hoping to do. I was hoping to get it out completely in one piece, which luckily I was able to do. That's kind of why I used that little jigsaw. I could have used a cutoff wheel, but I felt like I was going to get a little bit more precise of a cut with this, which I did. So now, hopefully, if I line it up and that side fits, I can just bring it over here, kind of flip it upside down, line it up, and at least I have a pretty good ballpark figure of where I'm supposed to cut. So I'm gonna try and match it up and see how it fits. All right, I could tell that it's close, but since the other end isn't cut, not sure why I didn't think about this earlier, since this end isn't cut, I'm not going to be able to fully fit it up against the body because I can't get this end sitting right. So, time to cut this end. So test fit up number 2. I'm not going to say it's a perfect fit, but it's pretty much a perfect fit. If you look at it from this angle, this is the spot that we cut out. Followed it around this corner. I could probably trim off a tiny bit in there. Over on this side, it looks like it cut it out a little bit more, but perfect gap all around. The only thing I have to do on each side, this little tab either has to be bent out or just clipped off. But honestly, it's a pretty perfect fit. I love it. I think it looks great. Even though it's a bumper that's 30 some years newer than the truck, I think it fits the look of the truck really well. And so yeah, I guess I'll just clip those tabs off, and then we got to start worrying about how to mount this thing. So I just spent the last 20 minutes or so getting this bumper perfectly level, perfectly centered side to side. I'm really happy with how it's sitting. So now the next thing I need to figure out is how I'm actually going to mount this. So the best way I can wrap my head around it is I'm going to take the factory or the stock bumper mounts, even though they're not stock, they're an aftermarket bumper mount that came on this truck. I know that they're going to have to be cut down a couple of inches, but instead of cutting the metal mounts down like an inch here and an inch there and then matching it up, crawling back and forth underneath the truck, I'm going to make these out of cardboard basically, so that way I can figure out what works for the cardboard mount. Then I will transfer that cut to the metal, and I will cut that down one time instead of having to cut it numerous times. So I've tried to shoot this video about a dozen times, but there's not a lot of room under the truck. Just for reference, this is the passenger side rear of the Comanche. So the bumper brackets, I traced them over to cardboard. This is what a stock, or at least my stock bumper brackets looked like. This bumper sits in a couple of inches more than the bumper that was on here. So these bumper brackets need to be shortened. So after a little bit of measuring and using a Sharpie and a straight edge, this is what they have to be shortened to. So if you compare them, line them up just like so. Ow. See, about 2.5, 3 inches or so has to be cut off. And I'll show you what it looks like. I'll make the cut on the bumper bracket and then I will install it on the truck. So now hopefully you can see it a little bit better. We got the bumper bracket lining up perfectly with the studs to mount the bumper. So all I'm going to have to do basically is mount, basically weld either a plate or a piece of angle iron to the end of the bumper bracket that comes off this way, punch a couple holes in it. That way I'll be able to thread some nuts onto the back so we have a bumper mount. The only thing I'm going to have to do is this bumper bracket and the one on the driver's side. I'm probably going to have to space them out maybe 1/8 of an inch or so off of the frame rail just so I can get a nut onto those studs coming through. So that is pretty much it. I just have to cut down the bumper bracket for the driver's side and then I can start welding. So at this point, both of the mounts have been cut down. You can see this is the piece that was cut off of the driver's side. I got them nice and cleaned up. Talked to my buddy who has an iron worker, so he took some, I think, 1/4 inch steel, basically just made 2 L brackets for me. You don't need to custom bend these or anything. You could probably just pick this up at a steel supply place, or even Home Depot I know has angle iron. I just had to put a little notch in it. So basically what I'm going to do is take the mount, which sticks off the rear frame of the truck like that. I'm going to weld this to it so I have a flat plate, and then 1, 2, 3 holes in it, and I'm going to be able to line the bumper up. So let's get these tacked to the bumper mounts and go from there. So that was pretty easy. Got the angle tacked on to the bumper mount, stock bumper mount. Kind of get an idea of what we're looking like. It's leaning back a little bit, but I also don't have the mounts adjusted perfectly top to bottom. But I know that the 1/4 inch is definitely a little overkill, but you know, if you're gonna do it, overdo it. So basically just do the other side exactly the same as I did this one. I'll do full welds on the inside and the outside. And then just gotta measure out the bumper, punch a couple holes in here, and we should be well on our way to finishing this thing up. These are the mounting points on the back of the JT bumper. It's 2 bolts, and then I'm assuming this is like a locating pin or something. So just took a little scrap piece of cardboard, made a template of that, so that way I can go over to the new mounts, put it in place. So I know exactly where I have to drill. Whoops. That's a good sign. The bottom 2 bolts go in. Okay, that's in. It fits. Holy crap. Here are the 3 mounting bolts right here that run through the bumper, or the 2 bolts in the one. Remember, it's like a locating pin or something. And this is the, that's the bracket that we welded on. That's the angle iron. So seems like it's sitting pretty flush there. Over on this side, there's a little, it's kind of hard to tell from this camera, but there's a little bit of a gap there. So I'm gonna open up those holes just a tiny bit. And I guess I'll throw some hardware on the back, and then I can final weld everything. The one thing I am gonna do though, I'm gonna cut these down a little bit because I don't want to be able to see that. Because if you look, there's actually a trim piece that fits on a Rubicon JT. That's where a factory, what do you call it, tow hook sticks through the back. So I'm going to cut that down just so you can't see it. That'll be easy enough though. But yeah, it looks pretty awesome. I'm pretty happy with it. video that I recorded did not come out good at all. All I did though was took that template that I made out of paper, laid it on top of the bumper pad, and traced out a line, and then I slowly took a grinder, like a 4-inch grinder, 4.5-inch grinder, and I just slowly trimmed away the material until I got it to fit really well. The only thing that I want to do is next time I'm at the parts store, I'm going to pick up some kind of like door edge trim molding or something just to give it a little bit more of a finished look, but it turned out really well. And underneath the truck for the plate lights, it was a real simple 2-wire hookup. Luckily, my bumper came with the light harness, so I just had to cut it and splice it, you can kind of see up in there, to the factory Comanche plate wiring. But yeah, real simple. My next thing is going to be, I want to try and get the trailer hitch wiring tapped in from there into there, so if I do hook up a trailer, I can just use the plug right on the bumper. But that is it. Cross this project off the list. Gladiator bumper on the Comanche, and I love the look of it. Appreciate everybody hanging out, watching this video. I know it was a bit of a longer one. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comment section below. I'll do my best to get back to anyone that has any questions. So see you on the next one.